Hey, let me ask you a question. What daily planner are you using?
Well, let me tell you what I'm using. The Full Focus Planner. Let me tell you why I love the Full Focus Planner. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, I buy it on a subscription. It shows up every single quarter. So actually it shows up a little before the quarter starts. So I'll have time to get in there and start breaking things down and get it set up. Now, that might sound like work, but let me tell you something. That is another part of it that I love. This planner is sort of what I call analog. It's not digital, okay? Now, I love that. And if you don't like that, if you're like totally online, totally digital, I've got to have everything synced up in my 17 calendars, then it's not for you. Maybe it's not your planner. But I love it. Let me tell you why. I get to open it up. I get to write down. I get to basically look ahead to the quarter that's coming up. And it forces me to plan, forces me to think, forces me to look at goals. Today I was going over my quarterly goals that come from my annual goals. Now, let me tell you this. Prior to the Full Focus Planner, I didn't have annual goals, but I have them now. And that means I have quarterly goals. And that means I have a big 3 that I work on each day. And that means I'm never, ever lost as to what to do. It also means I'm working on the right stuff. So if you struggle with any of that stuff, maybe you should buy a Full Focus Planner. The link is in the show notes. Let me tell you something else. If you go to Full Focus Planner without using my link, you are going to pick the lane at Chick-fil-A that goes the slowest. Understand that's what's going to happen. So don't even think about it. Get the Full Focus Planner and use my link to get it. You're listening to the Daily Business Podcast with your business coach, Mitch Alverson. This is the place for daily coaching because when you have a coach, you get better results. Hey guys, thanks for coming back today. I wanted to go through today's entry from the book Business Made Simple. If you're following along, it's on page 106 and 107. And we're right in the middle of the how to clarify your message part of this book. And this one is about defining the stakes and creating urgency. And I just love so much what Don wrote that today I'm just going to read it. It's literally 2 pages, so it's not a long entry. But I love what he wrote, so I'm going to read it. Here we go. When clarifying your message, be sure to define what's at stake. When I was a kid, my mother used to take my sister and me to the Dollar Theater on Friday night. She'd pay $1 for each of us, and then another $1 for popcorn and a Coke. Mind you, we were poor, and going to the theater was a big deal. I swear to you, though, I would not trade growing up rich for those experiences. They were nearly magical. It was in that Dollar Theater that I fell in love with stories. Of course, we were seeing those movies a couple months behind the rich families, but who cares? The movies were amazing. Would Elliot get E.T. back home? Would Luke destroy the Death Star? Would Rocky defeat Apollo Creed? I had some terrific experiences sitting in that theater as a kid. Those experiences would later cause me to study stories, to write books and a screenplay of my own, and much later to help more than a few hundred leaders craft messages that matter. So, what made all those stories so great? Well, the same thing that had me standing on my seat throwing popcorn into the air at the end of The Karate Kid when I was 12 years old is the same thing that will help you invite customers into a great story. The stakes. Could Daniel really beat the bully and win the karate tournament with a hurt leg? It turned out he could. Do you want people as engaged in you and your brand as I was in The Karate Kid? Do you want to differentiate yourself as a leader? Do you want your product to matter on the open market? Do you want your brand to stand out in a crowded segment? If you do, define what's at stake if the audience chooses somebody else over you. If you don't define what's at stake, you will fade from memory faster than one of those black and white German films that chooses to be artful rather than interesting. What's at stake if we do or do not buy your product? What can be won or lost if we choose another brand over yours? If there are no stakes, there is no story. Spend some time answering these questions. What will people's lives look like if they engage the story I'm inviting them into? What will people's lives look like if they don't engage in the story I'm inviting them into? Define what's at stake, and your story will get very, very interesting. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Daily Business Podcast with Mitch Alverson. If you got time, please subscribe to the podcast and consider rating and reviewing the show. That way, other people will find us. By the way, I really love to hear from you guys, so please email me at mitch@3advisors.org with your feedback or questions. Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Business Podcast with Mitch Alverson.